Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm checking out the Eachine 3-in-1 TX02 FPV camera system. So this is another bolt-on camera, very similar to the ones that we've been seeing recently on the QX80, 90, 95 and also the FX797T camera, except this one outputs 200 milliwatts. Now it's the same form factor as all of those other ones. It is tiny, it weighs about 4 grams, except the other ones are 25 milliwatts and this is 200 milliwatts. So what does that really mean? Well, my field out there is about 120 meters. Well, it's about the area that I fly in, up to the trees, and a 25 milliwatt FPV camera is absolutely ample for what I do. So really the only reason to get one of these over the 25 milliwatt version is if you are interested in flying long range. So I don't really like to fly long range for a couple of reasons. I don't like to walk very far, and when you go out of range doing long range you have to go and walk to fetch it. And another reason is the nerves, because once you start putting your money further away from you, it can get quite scary. So I choose to fly in close, and it's nice and safe, and it's never a long walk if I do go out of range or the battery fails or I lose connectivity somehow. So what do you get in this camera? Well, you have 40 channels, which is quite nice, and on the back of it is actually a readout there, so it tells you what channel that you're actually on. We have got a button here, and short presses goes through the different frequencies within the different bands, and then a long press will go through the 4 different bands. Actually it's more than 4, isn't it, for 40 channel. And a long press for about 5 seconds turns it off. Now I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but you've got that option. So we have got this cloverleaf antenna at the top, which we are used to. It has got a cable coming out of it that has a female micro JST at 1.25 pitch. Now it does come with an adapter for that. This is the box that it comes in. There you see camera, antenna, transmitter. I think they got them slightly the wrong way there. So you do get a couple of things in the box. We have manual with all the frequencies on there, QR code and things. So yeah, it goes up to 8 channels, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands. So you're given this, so this connects into the camera, and then if you just want to use this camera on, say, like an aeroplane or something bigger, then you can just plug in like a 1-cell battery into this. And I think that would be a good thing to do. You see, it's very small, it's lightweight, and it's 200 milliwatts, which is all you will ever really need. You could stick this on a bigger quadcopter, such as a 250 quadcopter or 210 or whatever, and it will work. However, you can't intercept it. I think the only thing that is missing with this camera is a built-in on-screen display like that Arrow camera that I did in my recent quadcopter build, and you don't need anything else. Everything is already integrated into it. So you're probably thinking, what on earth is that frame? And yes, this is a Hexa frame from Micropfv.eu. It's the website where you can buy the Alien Hex flight controller. And now, if you go on there and buy one of these, you have the option of paying $5 and you get one of these wonderful vacuumed frames. They are absolutely fantastic. They cover up all of the motors, so there's no wires anywhere. We have got these standoffs here, so it comes in 2 parts. So the standoffs there, and there's room for fitting the flight controller inside, and there's a little hole there to feed your camera through, and it's got a little camera plate. It is brilliant, and it only weighs 50 grams, which isn't bad at all for a hexacopter. So there's a limited supply of this frame because there has been a production problem, which I think is such a shame because this is such a Great lightweight frame, and everything is contained. The only thing that's on the outside is the camera. Now, you can actually access the USB port for the flight controller through here. I have got a very thin cable, so that can feed through there. However, on this particular frame, there is no option to move the bind dip switches across. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to sort of drill a little hole there, and then you can just move it along the dip switch there, and you wouldn't need to take anything apart to get a bind on it. So at the back here we have got a JST connector, and then this is connecting to a 1000 milliamp one cell battery. So Rob from Micropfv.eu has sent me this to try out, and that just fits in here perfectly. There's a couple of Velcro straps on there and it fits really nice. So I do think that 1000 milliamps is a bit overkill. You'll get a great flight time, probably about a 7-minute flight time from a hex is pretty good, but you're not going to get the punch that you get out of, say, a 750 milliamp or a 600 milliamp battery, such as I have used in the past from the QX80 and QX90, etc. But yes, thanks Rob, thanks for sending this in for me to try out. These are also rolling spider propellers on there to give the most amount of thrust. So, to go long range with this thing, I'm going to need more than just my usual setup. And that is where I'm going to showcase a couple of other products. So here are my Fatsharks, and this product here has featured before on the channel. It is the MenaceRC Invader patch antenna for 5.8 gigahertz, and I have got my Aomway antenna here as well. You'll notice they are both connected. So I have bought a diversity receiver from Banggood.com, and it's made by Fatshark, and it's a diversity video receiver, which is just fantastic. And I'm going to check how this works, and hopefully for the close-in stuff, this antenna will be doing the work, and then for the far-away stuff, this antenna will be doing the work, and I will see how far that we get with it. So this is actually the Maiden, and it's a horrendously dull day, so apologies for that. I am standing in the middle of the field so that I can get a good line of sight down all of the field, and I'm doing some acro. However, I quickly realized that this tune isn't very good at all. You will see that when I come out of a roll or a flip, the thing wobbles. But that's fine, because I'm here today to find out the range of this camera combination. So I'm just going to fly straight from now on. So here we have the 120 meter mark with these trees on the right. The next set of trees are at about 200 meters, and those back trees are at about 600 meters or so. The entire field is 1 kilometer all the way across. So I'm just sort of testing it at the moment, and you can see I am getting incredibly far out. And just to show off, I'm doing some rolls and flips as well. The picture is not breaking up at all. So now I'm just having a play around with it. I've never flown really around this part of the field before, and I don't really have much interest in doing so. It's just to show how well this camera is, but not just the camera, that diversity receiver and those two antennas working together. So I don't like to spend too long away from myself, so I'm starting to fly back and seeing if I can just get anything from the picture to break up, and no, not at all. I mean, we get the odd flicker just like here around this area, but it's not bad at all. So I now decide to fly around the edge of the field. We've got a lot of leaves here because it's becoming autumn. It's a very windy day as well, but that doesn't seem to bother it too much. So this camera costs just £16. I can't believe how cheap this stuff is getting. So I'm just flying close into myself now, and this is probably all done on the cloverleaf antenna. It is seamless when the two antennas switch. I can't tell, but they must be working, because there's no way a cloverleaf antenna would go this far. So I've cut to this run here, because this is the farthest I dared to venture. And just as I thought, the video range is more than the control range. So I'm using the DSMX Lemon RX satellite on the quadcopter, and if it was in a better position, I think it will go even further. And I'm just sort of testing the water here, because these are literally the first flights that I had with this setup. So I'm sort of getting to a distance where I'm thinking that's far, and then I'm sort of turning around and checking if I have upset anything, like the control system is getting weak or the video, and it's not really. It's a little bit of breakup, but nothing too bad. So I venture on and I head towards those trees at the back, which are as far as I can go, and I'm just having a little look around because I'm like, wow, it's still working. And then there, at that point, I lose the control, and that is as far as I can get. So probably about 500 meters, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. And that's about as far as I'm willing to go with it. But pretty impressive, I think you will agree. So what I want to do now is find different areas to fly. And I realized that the street that I live in is 100 meters long exactly. So I'm about maybe, 50 meters away from the road. So I thought that would be quite a good way to measure distance. So I'm just doing a little bit of a selfie circle there, and then go through the hill and then bomb it down the street. Now, I think this looks absolutely superb. You couldn't do this with a wing. You couldn't be as accurate, and you couldn't be as smooth. But there's no picture breakup whatsoever. I love this combination. This is going to be my new video receiver combination because it is just brilliant. I'll link the items in the description. I didn't expect them to work this well together. I didn't expect the diversity receiver to be so seamless, but it is. And there's a lot of expensive diversity receivers out there, and this one isn't that expensive. I think I paid about £31 for it. It doesn't have, fancy flashing lights or an on-screen display, but it doesn't need it. The results are here. It works. So I'm just having so much fun with this long range. I'm not really nervous about it. I'm sort of waggling the aileron to make sure that I've got control, but I have to say I got quite comfortable flying down this end of the field. Again, as I say, anytime I get sort of a blip on the video signal, I sort of get ready to turn around. It's just natural, even though I know it can go further than that. And at this point, I know where my control range is cutting out. So I decided to just sort of fly around this area and do some flips, etc. And then do some really low flying. But yeah, I really love this camera. If you are wanting to go longer range than the 25 milliwatt system, then definitely get this. But I think I'll stick with the 25 milliwatt system because I very rarely go out of this field. And dare I say it, I do think that this antenna setup may do quite well with the 25 milliwatt system. Just watch how close I get to myself there. I was that immersed in what I was doing that I didn't realize I was going to hit myself. So I do once more down the street. I just absolutely love this. Make sure there's no cars or no people in the street, which there very rarely is. It's becoming dark here as well, so I think it's time to land. Just watch me skim the floor here. Sorry, Rob, I don't think it did any damage to the frame. But there you go, that is my review of the Eachine TX02, the Fatshark diversity receiver, the Micropfv Frame, and also the MenaceRC antenna and the Aomway cloverleaf antenna. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.